My name is Joe Bandelli, and I directed The Sequence.
I just had this dream, and it was so real. And I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, so I didn't write it. Our producer, Brian, wrote it. And when him and I met and I was introduced to the script, it was so dark and twisted. And I had done a lot of other things that were more on the funny side. And I really wanted to go dark. And when Brian and I met and had a conversation, he really wanted to push the envelope and really go to a dark place. And I was like, yeah, this is what I've been trying to do for a very long time. So I think that, and then it also touched on some topics that I think, you know, in terms of like parenting and communication, that I thought was really important that I wanted to talk about a little bit. So I'm the producer of the Hell House LLC franchise, so I work in a lot of supernatural horror, and then the things that I've directed have either been documentaries or horror comedies. So for me, this was like a little bit of a way to go into something a little scarier and a little bit more intense with like some form of psychological horror. So it was a challenge that I was ready to take on and had a lot of fun with. One of the things that really kind of stood out to us was when we were trying to craft the dream sequence in the beginning of the movie and the dream that this character Taylor goes through. We really wanted it to be jarring and like sort of, you know, non-linear, all over the place. So The Ring was sort of an inspiration to looking at the Ring video and how it just kind of is all over the place. So we sort of use that as inspiration to kind of go all over the place, because dreams are never really linear, and a lot of times when people remember dreams, they don't really remember from point A to point B. It's kind of point A, then Z, then C, and kind of jumps all over. So that gave us a little bit of a good way to kind of move around. And we shot it linear, but then when we got into post-production, my editor Nick and I kind of put it together and we're like, let's chop this up and kind of mess with it a little bit. So we're in the process of developing the feature-length version of it right now. But yeah, Brian came up with this idea like 5 years ago, and he's been really trying to make it for a while. And I know he's been talking to different directors and different people. And then a mutual friend of ours, Jonathan Williams, who's our cinematographer on it, he was like, hey, he's like, I know a guy, I think you and him would get along well. And what started as like a 30-minute coffee turned into like a 6-hour, where have you been? So it was kind of love at first sight for Brian and me. In post-production, sound was huge. I think the first time I read the script, my notes that I gave Brian were, hey, can we utilize sound a little bit more? Can we use sound to kind of bring us from one sequence to the next and kind of utilize it throughout and kind of give us something that's like monotonous and keeps going, and then something jarring that kind of throws you off and kind of moves you in all these different directions. So sound was very important. And then obviously there's a shot in the movie that cannot be possible without, you know, the correct equipment, the correct people, correct cinematographer. So we had a really, really cool Lazy Susan shot that was perfected, I think, by our team and was like so important. But I'm gonna say the obvious choice. The obvious choice is the acting. We were really lucky and fortunate to have a really good cast. We had Katie Parker as our lead. We had Andrew Pifko and Braxton Alexander. Our whole cast, Willie Earl Jr., everyone was so good. So I felt like I had to really bring my A game, and they were so awesome and so easy to work with, and we were able to kind of pull a lot out of you know, a short amount of time. The biggest challenge was the Lazy Susan shot. Like that shot was really, really challenging. We had to rehearse it and tech rehearse it a lot because you have a camera spinning, and ultimately you have special effects vomit, special effects blood, actors and their performances, a child actor, and then camera hitting a specific mark every single time. So that was by far the biggest challenge of the shoot, because we knew that one shot was going to take up half of, if not a full day. I'd worked with child actors as a producer before, but never as a director. And we had two amazing casting directors, Nicole and Zach, who came on board, and they really helped us find Sloane, who's our little girl in the movie. And the thing that really struck me was she was very independent. And in the audition process, what I noticed with a lot of children was when they send their tapes to you, you can see, oh my God, they're really good, or they you know, this person has the look but doesn't have the performance, so on and so forth. But when you do a callback, you can actually see the difference between a child who can stand on their own and a child who needs their parent to sort of guide them. And so Sloane did not have that issue, and she was really independent and really on her own. And I kind of took it upon myself that with the dark content of what we were doing and with the serious subject matter, I spoke with her mom in depth long before we ever got on set. I spoke with her in depth before we got on set, and then on set, I treated her like she was my little buddy, and I just made sure that she felt safe and she felt okay. And there were a couple things that got her a little little scared, but I think at the end of the day, she did an amazing job, and we were really lucky to have her. I think her mom explained everything to her, because we were sort of explaining it in like, you're playing in the land of make-believe. Like, this isn't real, and kind of, you know, all the stuff that the opposite of what you would be saying to like Katie or Braxton, like, make this real. It's kind of like, this is play and this is fun. And I think if you just create a safe environment for them, the same way I would do for Katie, the same way I would do for Braxton, just create a safe environment so that she can play and have fun and has a good time. And that's where the cast was incredible, because, you know, as a director at times, you finish a shot and you're like, okay, I got to change the angle. This performance needs to change. You have like 19 things. And a lot of times, as soon as we yelled cut, Katie or Andrew would be like, oh my God, Sloan, great job. You did such a good job. High five. And like, they kind of kept that momentum of it like being a fun environment for her, which really helped me a lot too. So I didn't always have to like run to her immediately and be like, good job, you did amazing. Like, we had a team working on that. And then we had an amazing assistant director, Sarah Seligman, who was also helping with that as well. I mean, I'm a purist, so practical effects all the way for me. No disrespect to anyone who uses CGI, visual effects, or AI. I use it as well. It's just, for me, I think practical effects are better for two reasons. Number one, I think they look better on camera, and I think they look more realistic. And number two, it gives the actors something to respond to. Obviously, we're in a generation where like Marvel, Star Wars, all those things exist, and people are acting incredible performances in front of blue screens and tennis balls and things like that. I think despite the performances that those actors can pull off, I still think when you have the authenticity of something happening in front of your face, and you can pull it off really well, that's usually what gets the best reaction from your cast, which gives you the best product in the end. But that being said, visual effects serves a huge purpose, and like, we use visual effects in this movie as well, to clean up things, to make a little bit of the special effects pop a little bit better, or seem a little bit more realistic. So I think both of them work hand in hand, but ultimately I think practical effects is really kind of, like I said, I'm a horror purist, and I think the more you can do in camera and the more you can do on set, the less you have to do in post-production, and I think that's the way you should be doing it. I've always been the type of filmmaker that really steps up to a challenge, and I think the thing that was interesting about this was the subject matter was so serious. And I think I like to have fun, and naturally my sets, I usually try to create a really nice, fun environment for everyone. This had a serious tone, but we were able to still create a fun environment. I really enjoyed working with Brian on this, because I think Brian has got a really, really twisted, dark mind, and he comes up with some serious things. And I think a lot of the stuff that he talks about, like this movie to me, is about parents not communicating with their kids, and about how we can better help our kids by treating them like people and treating them like adults and sharing information with them rather than shielding them and keeping them from everything, because that's going to lead to something hopefully not as catastrophic as what it leads to in this movie. But it was a subject matter of seriousness, and I think in the past I really hadn't tackled any subjects that were serious and kind of stuff that we wanted to talk to. Like, I know Brian was very specific about, he wanted, you know, Braxton's character to be a 16-year-old white male, which is a very specific demographic for a lot of, you know, violence and things that happen in our country today. So for me, that was important to kind of touch on that and tackle that. And I think, yeah, I mean, you guys tell me if you think it was good. I'm a big comedy guy, and I just remember there's a scene where Katie and Willie are acting together, and I basically told Willie to kind of go off script and just kind of go with stuff. And he kind of played around, and I could see that it caught Katie off guard. And it caught her off guard in a really good way, because they were able to actually play and have fun with one another. And I don't ever want to, you know, put an actor in a position where they feel unsafe, but I love throwing things at one actor to see if they can kind of shake another actor or throw them off or give them something that they're not used to seeing, so we get something a little bit more authentic. So that day was a lot of fun, because I remember we had that going on. I was laughing a lot, because it's supposed to be the only light moment in the film. I was laughing a lot and having fun with it while the neighbors were like mowing the lawn and we're yelling at them and telling them to stop, and there's trucks driving by. So it was a lot of chaos going on, and I was having fun in the moment. This industry is weird, because this industry has a way of, if you do something well, everyone wants you to keep making that one thing. I know that like this is dark, and I think we did a really good job, and I think overall people will want us to continue to do dark things. I have things that are lined up that I could do that are dark, and I also have things that are a little bit more horror comedy as well. I want to do both. Like, I don't want to limit myself. Like, I know Brian and I are working on the feature-length version of this. Brian has 2 other scripts that are really dark that him and I are talking about. I have another script that's a little bit more lighthearted, and another one that's like, I'm just curating as much as I possibly can. But I think, you know, with me, you're either going to get something that's laugh out loud funny, or you're going to get something that's really dark and twisted.
We thank you, Heavenly Father. Amen.